I recently visited the RSPB Nature Reserve, that's the Royal Society for the Protection of Birds, in Sandy in Bedfordshire. And I walked through this amazing reserve, lots of habitat, of course, for birds, and so many opportunities to paint there, so many amazing views. So my problem was to decide what painting to attempt. But I thought I'd try this one today. There are so many. We've got obviously these nice shapes, and this is an old quarry area here. And can you see, look at all those lovely colours there in this rock face. But a nice feature of that is, look at how this old tree is barely hanging on. The roots coming down here and barely clinging to that surface. It won't be long before that crashes over. But we've got all these lovely reds and russets and orangey colours and lighter greens there. But nice shapes as well. So I'm going to have a go at this anyway. So let's get on. And you'll notice I've sketched it out there. So I've made a little start on it. So I think we just better get right into it. But of course I've got to think about what are my objectives. I've got to keep it fresh and light, of course, which is generally my reason, my main objective when I do a watercolour. But it's so difficult to stay in control of it, really, and not let it run away. So I think I'm going to just get some washes in, to fairly light washes, so it gives me a lot of room. So I've got some sort of bit of cleanup on my palette here, but this will allow me to get in some little marks on this to kill off all the white. I don't want too much white there, throws me off. And then we'll get some sort of reddish colours. So I'm going to use a bit of cadmium red and a bit of orange, cadmium orange, to give me a nice little colour there. Because I'll be putting lots of other textures and stepping up the colour, but I just want to get the gentle wash in, but keeping it light. That's the challenge. And I think we can bring this down a little bit. I think I'll get some raw sienna going as well. Yes, we can do that. Get a little bit there, and let's bring that down a little bit further. And in the foreground, I think I'm going to have a little light red and light red, and a little bit of crimson alizarin as well. Make it a little redder. Oh, that's a too red, so let's knock it back with a bit of umber. Yes, this is all bracken here. So I'm going to just get a general wash in there. I've changed the orientation somewhat of my setup here, so hopefully you're not getting so much glare off the wet of the paper. It's just when it's very wet it shines and reflects too much. So now I've got to get I think we'll go straight into some of these greens. Get a light wash first of all. Right. Now generally I do my sky, I do a sort of a general wash because it's light, and then my trees and my darker colours go over it. But yesterday I did it slightly different, a little painting I did where I just put my trees in and I just dabbed in little bits of blue between the structures of the trees, and it seemed to work quite well because I left also little light bits of sky, and that seemed to work quite well. So actually, while this is a little bit wet, I'm going to try and put some different tones in, and just under that, can you notice the way it sort of bleeds? This is the sort of magic of watercolour. I don't quite know what it's going to do, but try and react to it as it happens, and see what becomes. Yes, I've got bright colours here, greens, different, all sorts of greens, light ones over here. Yeah, so we've got, I want to try and keep some of the shapes of these trees as well. So let's just, there's some old pines actually, different pines. So I've got to say this Chinese brush, trying to give me some sort of shapes. I'm not going to master exact copies of them, but who can improve on nature? So if I can capture some of those forms, I'll be pleased. Right, and then we'll put some darker bits along. There's a sort of ravine there, so I think I'm going to put some dark bits in here to try and give some depth and dimensionality to it. We can do that if we've got some light and dark, so much darker over there, I think. All on this top edge actually. Well, there is the completed picture. I've taken off my little mat and I've revealed something of a clearer edge, more of a vignette really. But yeah, I'm fairly happy with it. Tried not to get it too muddy, but kept some colours, and we've got the shapes. And there was lots of little crevices and ledges in this part of the quarry, darker here. But I'm wondering, I think I've got to perhaps let some of it dry. It's too soft. There are some sharper bits I could get in, but I need to have it a little drier, I think, for that. Let me think. Now let's... Perhaps in this foreground I need to get a little bit redder. I don't think I've got quite the right red, so I've got several different reds on my palette. I don't want it too red. A little bit orange, no, a little redder. A bit more red, yes, it is very tricky. Too red, it's not... that's getting a little bit. Yes, that's more like it. This is sort of bracken here. All in here, in the foreground. So I can leave some little areas of light because I've got that first wash in there. This is essentially a second wash there. That red comes up here a little bit. I think we've got to watch our timing though. This is the issue. If you just come in too soon, it gives you too, well, soft, diffused colours, which you need, certainly at some point, but then you need some sharper edges as well. So here, I think I need to get in something a lot more orange. So I'm going with my cadmium orange there. And yes, that's not so bad. Let's just see if we can get something there. Yes, I think that's not so bad. As I say, this is an old quarry, which largely around here the geology was sandstone. It's on a ridge. This is a beautiful estate of acres and acres of lovely woodland, which you're free to walk around and visit. If you're in Bedfordshire, you should give it a consideration for a nice day out. A nice cafe. Got a little bit darker under these, that massive green there. And let's do something there. And I'm going to put some dabs of green, different greens in a moment. But I need a little darker, so I'm going to put a bit of Payne's Grey just to give me some darks under there, and again to reinforce here this edge, this margin here. Definitely very dark, and coming in there. Right, let's see, step back a minute. Oh, we've got some darker colours needed to go in here. It's in between some of this bracken. Otherwise it's all flat, and it certainly wasn't. This is dense bracken, and well, I don't think it was gorse, but I think bracken really. Right, let's leave that for a moment. And I keep glancing at my reference as guidance. But this big, oh no, on this left hand side I've got a nice yellow, yellowy green I need to get in. So I think I'll just do a little gentle wash there, give me a bit of light to dark. That's the first layer, I think. I'm going to leave that yellow, and then I can put some stronger tones in if I wish. Slightly darker orangey colours here. Now let's get straight into some of these greens up here. So let's say I've got 3 greens. I've got hookers, viridian and sap. So I think if I manage to get a nice mixture of these, I want something, they're a little bit on the bluey side actually, so I'm going to drop a little bit of ultramarine into my mixture. Actually, if I pick it up, maybe I can show you. Pick it off my board. Right. You see my colours there. I've got 3 greens here, sap, viridian and hookers. So I made a little puddle here, but I've got a little bit of ultramarine here. And you can see how that's made that mixture a little bluer, which I want to do because I want to try and parts of it, these trees were very sparse as well. You know, as I said, there's one of them is just clinging on here. It's about to fall, I think. Let's put a little bit of, so I've got something behind that yellow. And this I did some lighter greens earlier, so let's put a bit of darker green in there. Just to give me some contrasts. Some elements I think we could step up there. And greens here. We've got some out here. I want to keep them a little lower. It was seen as falling away off to our right. Should be higher here. Let's little bits of, right. How are we doing? I'm stepping back and having a little look. Got some dark bits here. And also out here, old pine trees, they are. Say this was a marvellous old estate. Don't quite know who lived there, but obviously acquired for some years ago by the RSPB, which is a charitable organisation which seeks to protect birds and encourage habitat. All this piece of ground is all been managed specifically to encourage the birds and the wildlife. So let's make sure I've got some nice darks. Not too dark there. Brings it too far forward. So I think I need to lighten it up a bit. So a little bit more water. That's what you can do with a watercolour. A little bit more water and a bit of brown there. And change some of the tones there. Just using the side of my brush here, which will help. But I've got to try and keep the shape of some of these. Well, we've got to put the boughs in. So I might be able to do that now. Some of them. And there's one, well, this was quite a big here. But this one here, that's sort of barely hanging on. It's coming in here. And its roots were just clinging there. So I'll try and do that with a smaller brush. And we've got the trunks here. That's it, we've got them coming now. See, we've got a little flick with this, little spring in this Chinese calligraphy brush, which you haven't got huge control with it, but you don't want to. You want it to try and give you some randomness to it, to kind of mimic our nature. I've got a big one here coming out. So I think I better leave that for the moment. And then let's get back and concentrate on trying to get some shapes into some of these by some lights and some darks. Right, now I've still got a lot to do in this foreground, so let's get some bits of green going, different greens I think. I've got quite a Now I think I need something lighter. So clean off my brush a little bit. See that green there? Got this bottom left hand corner one. I think I need to get some yellow and lighten just a smidge of it. That's it. Not mixing too much. I want it to do on the paper really. And we could maybe have some here. But we've still got to get some greens in here. Yes. And out here. A few little bits in the foreground here. So I'm using some of these different yellows here, lemon yellow, cadmium yellow. Let's just put some different greens in there and some darks. I've got to get the darks, otherwise our lights won't show. So I'm standing back now, squinting my eyes a little bit and see where I need to change the tone somewhat. Yes, I got in my foreground, I've got some more opportunity to get some reds in. I can vary it by putting some Payne's grey with it to knock it back if I don't want it too bright, but I want some sort of layers to suggest. I think perhaps I'll let some of this dry before we put some dry work in with our, you know, a finer brush. Maybe we can show the bracken up more. I'm just wondering, should I put a little bit more orange though? I've got a nice orange here. Can you see that? Cadmium. Let's mix that with a bit of red there and step up some orange in there. Okay, again our oranges come up, but they get dark along that ridge there. And let's put some umber in, I think. Let's get a little bit of umber here, mix it with that. Always trying to have a variety of colours. Right, let's leave this for a moment and just get something in that sky area. Yeah, skin off my brush and we'll get a bit of cerulean, I think. Make a little, and just drop it in between those trees. Some of the areas I want to make a little brighter, so we've got contrast. So I'm getting a little bit here. Just dripping it in there. The sky holes. Don't want to disturb it too much though. Don't want to disturb all that green. It's very pale over here. Just a little tickle of the blues of the cerulean, and these lower bits here, because we're looking up at this cliff, so the sky was, well, it wasn't terribly bright blue, but very bright, obviously. So these are a little bit silhouetted, so I think might darken up on some of them. Well, they look darker in my picture, but I mustn't make the mistake of trying to reproduce the picture, the photograph, because this is, I want it to look a bit painterly. Just kill off some of these whites, just looking a little too white. So we'll just knock them back a little bit. Okay. Now I think I'm going to switch off a moment and dry, and then come back and do something with the foreground here. So let's do that. But I won't give you all that noise. Also, some here, just coming over into the quarry face there, and got some yellowy green, so I'm going to lighten up a bit of my green and do that. Just tickle it in. Make it as colourful as I can, but readable, of course. We want it. Let's get some ochre. Mix some ochre, yellow ochre there. Yes, that's helping. Again with a bit of green. And again, I look at my reference. Yeah, there are bits of green in here. In our foreground there, let's right. We've got here little banks of colour. So I've got some umber here, raw umber. You want to have some darks in your foreground to help give you a little bit of emphasis to this lighter area. We need that contrast. Okay, now I think I need to do something about those trees, but before I do, I'm going to put a little different green there. It's all about variety, putting one light against dark, but different colours as well. Let's just hint at some colours there, which there were just that you see over the lip of that cliff face there. So I can put a different margin there, a little soft edge there. Right, now let's get on and do a step up some of the definition on those furs. So I'm going to get back to that number 4 round and get a darkish tone and see if I can improve some of these. I think it definitely needs to be darker, yes. Right, that's it. That's looking a bit better. Reading a little bit better, I think. I've got to get... So we've got some... Make sure they're grounded as well. Step up the dark a little bit. I'm not using black, but it's a pretty dark. Some browns with it. Payne's grey. But this was a nice line here. This is the one I told you about was hanging on. He's got to try and show that, I think. He was barely hanging on, this. Here we are. I think it's starting to read a little bit better now. Getting a little bit more form to it. Yes, there's some of these are quite dark and big there. Right. Now I think a couple out here. Make sure you've got a nice ground to them. Don't want them floating. Right, let's get something in there. And I think I'm going to put some darker tones here against that lighter green. Help give me some form to them. I can see there's some light areas there which can, I think we put some darks there. Yes, I think that's help them read a little bit. There's a pine clinging on there. Let's go more Payne's grey. Knocked it down a little bit with a bit of green. Got some form in here. And then just try and emphasize this edge here. There's an edge all along here, actually, isn't there? And I was going to get something of more of a ravine in areas as well. So it's a bit of dry brush there. I think there were two sort of fissures that I could recall. And also let's some of these darker bits there, like some greens, bit of Payne's grey with the yellow, you get a lovely darkish green. Let's see if we can do that. Right, I think I could push that up a little bit. A little bit of a soft edge along the tops there to help us read a little bit as a changing the angle of my brush to help it read. I think some of these whites, I need to take them down a little bit. We want some sky holes, as we say, but not too uniform. So we'll try and knock a few of those back. But I think I'm going to put a few more darks into this cliff face. Just to show that. I don't want to lose that orange though. And as I said, it was dark up in the top here, because this is overhanging, so it's not getting so much light. But let's not have too much brown. It's too much black, so I put a bit of brown there. Yes, that could do it. And also down there. And little bits of green in areas there. Just try and ring the changes. Trying to leave a few lights as well. Actually, I can see. Let's try and put some lines in there. That tree there. Step up some of the so it reads it. Right, well, I think I've largely done with it at the moment. Anyway, if you like this, please give me a thumbs up if you like it. And then if you want to be notified, consider subscribing as well, and then you'll be notified when I do more work. But anyway, this is Sandy RSPB Nature Reserve in Bedfordshire in the UK, and it is well worth a visit. I've cycled through it in the past, but mainly stayed to the main tracks. But this time I went on a little bit of a walk and tried some different areas, and we've got some nice things to see. Lots of different mushrooms, which they had some labels on actually. You could go on a guided tour, I think, if you book it up and go with an expert. Well, we had an expert with us, so I got some good information. Mainly not to eat them, of course. They're highly toxic, the majority of them. So best to give that a miss, I think. Right. I think I've pretty much done here. Is there any need for a little gouache? No, I don't think so today. We can leave this. I've left enough lights, I think, for it to read pretty much as I want it to. Might step up my orange a little bit. Yes, I think so. You don't get much opportunity to use that, so a bit of orange and lemon yellow there. I think we'll put a bit more. There was a little out here actually, coming under there. Little rocks showing through there. Right. Yes, I think I'm going to leave that, although just a little bit of bright lemon yellow against there. I think we can do that. And got some reds as well to give. So it's just autumn colours coming now, so I can tickle in a bit of red there against those yellows that were there. Yes, I think I'm going to leave it there. A little bit of red there. Well, thanks for watching. Well, there is the completed picture. I've taken off my little mat and I've revealed something of a clearer edge, more of a vignette really. But yeah, I'm fairly happy with it. Tried not to get it too muddy, but kept some colours, and we've got the shapes.